The days after Lyra's visit passed quietly at Eli's farm, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. Every rustle in the crops, every glimmer of sunlight on the twin suns, seemed different. It was as if the universe itself had whispered secrets into Eli's mind, and now he could not ignore them. He found himself wandering near the spot where Lyra had landed, brushing his hands over the soil, wondering if the glowing traces she left behind were still there. There was a strange energy lingering, soft but undeniable, a faint hum in the air that made the hairs on his arms stand on end. Eli was curious, but he was also practical. He knew he had to understand this energy, or at least document it. So he began small experiments, placing metal tools on the soil, observing how the air seemed to shift, and even drawing simple symbols in the dirt to see if they reacted to the unseen force. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the golden fields, Eli noticed something strange in the workshop. The space bike he had repaired glimmered softly, pulsing with a blue light that seemed to communicate. He stepped closer, his heart beating faster, and realized that a hidden compartment had opened on its own. Inside, Eli found a small collection of star maps, each etched on a thin, flexible material that glowed faintly. He ran his fingers over the patterns, feeling the hum of energy beneath them. The maps depicted distant planets, asteroid belts, and nebulas he had never seen before. His mind raced. These are directions. She was traveling somewhere. Somewhere important, Eli whispered to himself. Before he could examine them further, a shadow moved across the workshop. Eli turned and saw Lyra standing there, not in person, but as a small projection of light hovering above the floor. Her red eyes glowed softly, and her voice carried a quiet urgency. "You have discovered the maps," she said. "You must not fear them. They are not dangerous, but they are essential. They will guide you if you ever need to understand more." Eli nodded, fascinated. "I understand. But why show me this? I'm just a farmer." Lyra's projection flickered slightly. "You are not just a farmer, Eli. You have the ability to see what others overlook. You understand curiosity, patience, and balance. These qualities are rare, and they are needed for what is to come." Eli's mind swirled with questions, but he held back. He sensed that pressing too hard might make her withdraw. "All right," he said. "I'll study them carefully." Over the next few days, Eli pored over the maps. He tried to match the glowing symbols with constellations he knew from Earth, but many were entirely unfamiliar. Some pulsed as if alive, changing slightly when he touched them. It was like the maps themselves were trying to communicate. Testing his understanding, Lyra returned intermittently, usually in small projections of light or through short, unexpected appearances at the farm. Each time she shared tiny bits of knowledge about the maps, teaching Eli how to read them without overwhelming him. "You must understand," she said one evening, her voice almost like a whisper in the cool night air. "The search I am on is not just for me. It is for my species. It is for balance across many worlds. And one day, you may play a role in that as well." Eli felt a shiver of excitement. Balance across worlds? It sounds incredible, but also complicated. Lyra nodded. "Yes, but you are capable. You're curious enough to see the threads that connect the universe, and patient enough to follow them carefully." As Eli studied, strange phenomena began to appear around the farm. At first it was subtle, small flashes of light dancing along the edges of his fields, shadows that seemed to move without a source, the faint sound of whispers when no wind blew. One night, as he studied the maps under the soft glow of his lantern, a shadow shifted across the floor. Eli froze, but instead of fear, he felt a strange sense of anticipation. "Who's there?" he called softly. A faint figure materialized. In the corner of the workshop, Lyra, standing silently, her eyes glowing like twin stars. She stepped forward, her voice calm. "Do not be afraid, Eli. This is a result of the energy you have begun to notice. It is responding to your curiosity and understanding. You are awakening the maps, and with them, a connection to the universe." Eli's eyes widened. "Awakening the maps? You mean they're alive in some way?" Lyra nodded. "They respond to those who are patient, observant, and kind. You have all three qualities. That is why you can see what others cannot." The excitement in Eli grew. He had always wondered if there was more beyond his quiet life, beyond the golden fields of his farm. The universe itself seemed to be reaching out to him, guiding him to something extraordinary. Over the following days, Eli experimented further. He discovered that when he touched the maps while focusing on a question, certain stars would glow brighter, and pathways would appear, connecting planets and nebulae in intricate patterns. Each time Lyra appeared to guide him, though she said little. She allowed him to learn through observation, giving hints only when he truly needed them. One evening, Eli sat outside, maps spread around him. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky dark but sparkling with stars. He traced a glowing pathway. On one of the maps, realizing it led to a planet not far from his own solar system. Could it be nearby? He murmured. Lyra appeared silently beside him. Yes, but proximity does not mean it is simple to reach. Energy flows differently in each region. Some paths are easy to follow. Others are hidden, protected by forces you may not yet understand. Eli looked at her, his mind buzzing with questions. Why me? Why are you showing all this to a farmer on a small planet?
Lyra's
eyes softened. Because sometimes the simplest beings are the ones who can make the biggest difference. Not through power, but through understanding, patience, and care. You have those qualities. Eli felt a warmth in his chest. It was not pride exactly. It was something deeper recognition that his small actions, his curiosity, and his willingness to help had meaning far beyond his farm. In the days that followed, Eli began to notice even more subtle changes. Plants seemed to grow more vibrantly where the bike had rested. Small animals approached him with unusual trust. Even the wind seemed to carry a gentle energy, as if the universe itself were responding to his attention and care. Lyra explained one evening, standing in the soft glow of the twin moons. Energy responds to those who are in harmony with it. You have awakened it here. It will guide you, but it also tests you. Continue with patience, Eli. You are on the path to understanding more than most beings ever will. Eli nodded. He understood only partially, but he trusted her. Every day brought new discoveries, each one more fascinating than the last. The maps pulsed with possibilities, guiding him toward a universe larger, richer, and more complex than he had ever imagined. And yet a question lingered in his mind. What was Lyra truly searching for? She had never said outright. Eli could sense the importance of her mission, the weight of her journey across galaxies, but the details remained hidden. He hoped that one day he would understand fully. For now, he focused on learning. He studied the maps, observed the glowing energy around his farm, and experimented with the pathways that seemed to connect stars, planets, and galaxies. Each discovery deepened his curiosity and strengthened the bond between him and Lyra. As another night fell over the golden fields, Eli looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of wonder he had never known. The universe was no longer distant, cold, or unfeeling. It was alive, vibrant, and full of secrets waiting to be discovered. And he knew in his heart that this was only the beginning. The farm, once quiet and ordinary, had become a gateway to the cosmos. And Eli, a simple farmer with hands calloused from work and a mind eager for knowledge, had stepped onto a path that would connect him to the stars, to a mysterious alien being, and to a journey far beyond anything he had ever imagined. The twin suns rose over Eli's farm, casting warm light across the golden fields. Today felt different. The air seemed charged with energy, and Eli's heart raced with anticipation. He had studied the maps, observed the glowing pathways, and learned more about the mysterious energy that Lyra had awakened. Now she was waiting for him, her red eyes bright with purpose. "I am ready," Eli said, his voice steady but filled with excitement. "Where are we going?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Not far. By some standards. But it will be your first journey beyond your planet. You must be attentive, patient, and trust me. The stars themselves will test you." Eli nodded. He was no stranger to hard work, but this was unlike anything he had ever done. Yet curiosity and determination pushed him forward. The bike hovered before them, its glowing panels pulsing with soft light. Eli climbed on behind Lyra, gripping the handles carefully. She adjusted a few settings with graceful movements, and the bike responded instantly, hovering higher. "Hold on," Lyra said. "We are leaving the atmosphere." With a soft hum, the bike lifted into the sky. The farm shrank beneath them, the fields becoming small golden patches. The twin suns glinted off the panels of the bike as they rose above the clouds. The planet below looked peaceful, almost like a painting. Eli could hardly believe this was the same place he had walked just hours ago, as they broke through the atmosphere. The sky turned from gold to dark blue, and the stars appeared in full brilliance. The vastness of space stretched before them, endless and magnificent. "Welcome to the stars," Lyra said softly. Eli's eyes widened. He had always gazed at the night sky, wondering what lay beyond, but seeing it up close was different. The stars were alive in a way he had never imagined, each one shimmering as if watching him. "This is amazing," he whispered. "I never thought I'd actually be here." Lyra glanced back at him, her expression calm. "Few beings leave their worlds, Eli. Fewer still understand what they see. Remember what I taught you. Observe, learn, and respect the flow of energy." For a time they traveled in silence, the bike gliding smoothly through space. Eli marveled at the distant planets, swirling nebulas, and sparkling asteroid fields. Some of the stars pulsed in colors he had never seen, shifting from blue to green to gold. The maps had predicted some of these paths. Experiencing them firsthand was beyond anything he had imagined. After a while, Lyra guided the bike toward a dense asteroid belt. Large rocks floated in patterns, some spinning slowly, others drifting in silence. Eli's grip tightened as they navigated the twisting paths between the asteroids. "You are doing well," Lyra said. "Focus on the flow of energy. It will guide us." Eli nodded, closing his eyes for a moment and feeling the subtle currents around him. The energy pulsed along the bike's frame, and he instinctively adjusted their course. With Lyra's gentle guidance, they moved smoothly, weaving between the massive floating stones. "You see," Lyra whispered, "patience and observation. They are your greatest tools." Eli smiled, feeling a surge of pride. He had relied on his instincts and the lessons Lyra had taught him. The asteroid field no longer seemed intimidating. It was a challenge he could meet with care and attention. Beyond the belt, they entered a calm region of space, a luminous cloud of glowing particles. The nebula stretched in waves of purple, blue, and gold, and Eli felt a sense of peace he had never known. This is beautiful," he said, his voice filled with awe. "I've never imagined colors like this could exist." Lyra nodded. "This place is rare. Energy flows freely here. Few beings ever enter. It teaches those who observe and listen. You are learning quickly." As they glided through the nebula, Eli noticed small creatures moving in the glowing clouds. They were tiny, translucent beings, shaped like delicate ribbons of light. They drifted gracefully, interacting with the energy in ways Eli could not fully understand. "Are they alive?" he asked. Lyra smiled. "Yes. Life takes many forms across the universe. Some are obvious, others subtle, almost invisible. This nebula is home to such beings. They thrive because of balance, patience, and respect. You see, everything is connected." Eli felt a deep sense of wonder. His small life on the farm had never prepared him for this. Yet, here he was, floating among stars, witnessing life forms and energy flows that challenged his imagination as they continued. Lyra guided the bike toward a small, luminous planet. Its surface glowed like liquid silver, and rivers of light twisted across it in intricate patterns. "This place is important," Lyra said. "It is where the next step of my journey begins. But it is also a place to test your understanding. Energy flows differently here. You must observe carefully." Eli stepped onto the planet's surface, feeling the soft glow beneath his feet. The ground pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The rivers of light shimmered, as if alive, responding to his presence. Lyra guided him to a small clearing, where energy seemed to concentrate. Eli knelt, sensing the subtle vibrations beneath his hands. It was like the planet was alive, communicating in ways he could feel but not hear. "Focus, Eli," Lyra said. "What do you feel?" Eli closed his eyes and let his mind open to the energy. Slowly, he realized that the glowing rivers and the pulsing ground were connected, forming patterns like those on the maps. The energy guided him, responding to his attention and patience. "It's responding," he whispered. "I think I can understand it." Lyra smiled, a rare warmth in her expression. "Yes, you see the connections. You understand balance. This is why I brought you here. You are learning the ways of energy, ways most beings cannot grasp." They spent hours exploring the planet, following the glowing rivers, observing small creatures that moved in harmony with the energy. Eli felt a sense of calm and excitement. Each discovery revealed more about the universe, more about Lyra's mission, and more about his own ability to understand what others could not. As night fell on the luminous planet, Eli and Lyra stood together, looking at the glowing horizon. The stars above were reflected in the rivers, creating an endless sea of light. "You have done well today, Eli," Lyra said softly. "You are ready for the next step. Soon, but for now, rest. The journey has just begun." Eli nodded, feeling a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had traveled beyond his world, witnessed wonders he could never have imagined, and learned from a being whose mission spanned galaxies. And yet he knew this was only the beginning. The bike hummed softly nearby, pulsing in rhythm with the planet's energy. Eli realized that he was no longer just a farmer. He was a traveler, a student of the universe, and a companion to one of the most extraordinary beings he had ever met as he lay on the glowing ground. Looking up at the stars reflected in the rivers, Eli felt a profound sense of connection. The universe was vast, alive, and full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And he, a simple human from a small planet, had been given the chance to explore it, guided by curiosity, patience, and a newfound friendship that transcended worlds. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new discoveries, new lessons, and new challenges. But tonight, he allowed himself to simply marvel at the beauty around him, grateful for the journey, the guidance, and the connection he had found. And in that quiet, luminous night, Eli understood something essential. The universe was not just a place to explore, it was a place to understand, to respect, and to share. Eli woke to the soft glow of distant stars reflecting off the surface of the luminous planet. The rivers of light shimmered gently, casting a calm glow over the landscape. Today felt different. There was a quiet anticipation in the air, and Eli sensed that their journey was approaching an important turning point. Lyra appeared beside him, her pale skin glowing faintly and her red eyes shining with purpose. "Today," she said softly, "we reached the place I have been searching for." Eli stood, adjusting his position on the glowing ground. "The maps, they led us here, right? I can feel something powerful, but I don't understand it fully." Lyra nodded. "Few beings ever understand fully. Some truths must be experienced, not explained. Come with me." He climbed back onto the bike, which hummed in response to their presence. Eli felt the familiar thrill of anticipation as they lifted into the air and glided toward a distant hill that shimmered with golden light. At its summit lay a small, radiant orb floating above the ground, glowing with a soft, pulsating energy. It was alive with movement, as if it breathed with the universe itself. "This is what I have been searching for," Lyra said, her voice almost reverent. "A source of balance. It is rare, ancient, and essential. My species depends on it, not to control, but to maintain harmony across the galaxy." Eli stepped closer, careful not to disturb the delicate energy that radiated from the orb. He could feel warmth and calm radiating from it, like the planet itself was embracing them. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "I've never seen anything like this." Lyra smiled faintly, placing her hand near the orb. It responded immediately, pulsing brighter and sending small streams of light that spiraled into the air. "It is alive. It teaches those who are patient, who observe, and who respect its flow. Many come seeking power, but they leave without understanding. You are different. Eli felt a swell of pride, not from achievement, but from recognition. For the first time, he realized that his patience, curiosity, and kindness had value beyond his world. He had contributed, in his own small way, to something vast and extraordinary.
Can I
Help? He asked quietly. Even a little? Lyra turned to him, her expression softening. You already have. By learning, observing, and understanding, you have connected with the energy. That connection is rare. Few beings can form it naturally. You have been ready for this journey, even if you did not know it. Eli watched as streams of light from the orb swirled around Lyra. Responding to her presence and the quiet guidance she offered, the maps had led them here. But it was their shared patience, curiosity, and respect that allowed them to connect fully with the energy. For a long while, they remained in silence, observing the orb and the glowing rivers around them. Eli marveled at how everything seemed to move in harmony, from the smallest pulse of light to the soft hum of the planet itself. He realized that the universe was not just a vast space to explore, it was alive, connected, and full of subtle intelligence waiting to be understood. Finally, Lyra spoke. Eli, I must continue my journey. This orb must be guided to maintain balance across the galaxy. But your part here is complete, for now. You have learned what many never will: patience, observation, and respect for the unseen connections. Eli's heart ached at the thought of her leaving, but he nodded. I understand. And thank you for showing me this, for trusting me, for everything. Lyra placed a hand lightly on his shoulder, her touch warm despite her pale skin. You are extraordinary, Eli. Your species may be small in the galaxy, but your qualities, curiosity, ingenuity, courage are vast. Remember this. You are capable of far more than you realize. Eli smiled, feeling a mix of pride and humility. I'll remember, and I hope one day I can continue learning from you. Maybe even help you on your search. Lyra's eyes softened. Perhaps someday, for now. The journey continues. She stepped back, and the bike began to hover. Glowing softly in the twilight of the luminous planet, Eli watched as she lifted into the air. The orb pulsed brightly, responding to her presence, and then they shot off together into the sky, leaving trails of glowing light behind them. Eli stood on the planet alone, but his heart was full. He had witnessed wonders, learned lessons beyond measure, and formed a bond with a being from across the stars. He turned back toward the fields of his home planet, thinking of the maps, the energy, and everything he had discovered. There was a quiet understanding in him now, and knowledge that the universe was vast, alive, and full of mysteries waiting to be explored. And he, a simple farmer, had become part of it. The days that followed were filled with reflection and small experiments. Eli studied the maps, observing the glowing pathways and noticing subtle changes in the energy around his farm. Plants grew more vibrantly, and small animals behaved with unusual trust. Even the wind seemed to carry a soft, gentle rhythm, as if the universe itself had acknowledged his connection. Eli often found himself gazing at the sky, imagining Lyra's journey among the stars. He wondered what she would discover, what mystery she would unravel, and how the orb would help maintain balance across distant worlds. He felt a deep sense of pride, not for himself, but for being part of something greater, something that transcended planets and species. One evening, as the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the golden fields, Eli sat outside with the maps spread before him. The soft hum of energy pulsed gently around the bike, which now rested quietly in the workshop. He traced the glowing pathways with his fingers, following the connections between stars and planets. I will continue learning, he whispered to himself. I will continue observing, understanding, and maybe one day I can help again. The night settled over the farm, peaceful and still. The stars shone brightly, reflecting off the golden fields, and the universe felt closer than ever before. Eli realized that life, even in its quietest corners, could be full of wonders. And sometimes it was the simplest beings, with curiosity, patience, and kindness. Who could touch the stars? Weeks passed, and though Lyra did not return immediately, Eli felt her presence in small ways. The maps pulsed gently, as if communicating. Strange energy flowed through the fields, and in quiet moments, he could almost feel her watching, guiding, and encouraging him. Eli continued his work on the farm, tending crops and repairing machines, but his perspective had changed. Every task held meaning, every moment was part of a larger pattern. And every discovery, no matter how small, was part of the universe's intricate dance. One morning, a faint shimmer appeared at the edge of the fields. Eli looked up, his heart racing. A familiar glow approached from the horizon. Though small, the light grew brighter as it came closer. And Eli recognized the shape of the bike hovering above the ground. Lyra landed gently beside him, her red eyes glowing softly. "Eli," she said, her voice warm, "I have returned, and there is more to show you. If you are ready." Eli's face lit up with excitement. "I've been ready. I've learned so much, and I want to see more, understand more." Lyra smiled. "Good, then come. The universe has many lessons, and many wonders await those who are curious, patient, and kind." Eli climbed onto the bike, feeling the familiar thrill as it lifted into the air. Together, they soared above the fields, across the glowing rivers of the planet, and into the endless stars. The maps pulsed in response to their journey, guiding them to new places, new discoveries, and new understanding. And Eli knew, in his heart, that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, alive, and full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And he, a simple human from a small planet, had found his place among the stars, guided by curiosity, patience, and the bond of friendship that spanned worlds as they flew into the glowing expanse of space. Eli realized something essential: adventure, understanding, and connection were not reserved for the mighty or powerful. They belonged to those who dared to care, to observe, and to embrace the unknown. And in that truth, he had found a home among the stars beside Lyra and within the universe itself.
Ethan Ryder wiped the grease from his hands and leaned back against the cluttered wall of his workshop. Earth's largest spaceport buzzed outside, ships of all sizes coming and going, each leaving trails of light and exhaust. Yet Ethan felt restless. For years he had repaired everything from human drones to small starship engines, but lately life felt repetitive. He needed a change, something different, something exciting. Scrolling through the auction listings on his personal tablet, he paused when an unusual listing caught his eye. Ruined alien workshop, remote asteroid colony, sealed for centuries. Ethan frowned, reading the description. A massive workshop left behind by a long-extinct alien civilization, the Virans. The auction price was surprisingly low. Most humans ignored it. Aliens feared it, claiming it was cursed. Cursed, huh? Ethan muttered. Or just abandoned. Despite the warnings from locals, he felt a strange pull toward the idea. Ethan had always been curious, and the chance to explore alien technology was irresistible. Without overthinking, he placed a bid. Within hours, the transaction was complete. The workshop, miles away in a distant asteroid colony, was now his. A week later, Ethan boarded a small freighter bound for the asteroid. As the ship approached the colony, he looked out at the barren rocks floating silently in the void. The workshop sat on a flat plateau, half buried in dust and rock debris. Its outer walls were cracked, and strange alien symbols faintly glowing were etched into the surface. The freighter landed with a gentle thud, and Ethan stepped out, his boots crunching against the rocky ground. The air was thin but breathable. He stared at the ruined building, wondering what secrets lay inside. Pushing open the heavy doors, Ethan was greeted by silence. Dust hung thick in the air, stirred by the light breeze from broken vents. The workshop smelled of old metal and burnt circuits. Strange machines, long inactive, were scattered across the floor, many half buried under layers of dust. Ethan ran his hand along a console. The metal was cold and smooth, yet beneath the dust he could feel a faint vibration, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. He stepped deeper into the workshop, excitement bubbling in his chest. Every corner he turned revealed more mysteries. Stacks of alien components, unrecognizable tools, and walls lined with screens, all dark and lifeless. Suddenly, a soft glow appeared from one corner of the room. Ethan approached cautiously. It was a small console, flickering weakly with green and blue light. Curious, he brushed off the dust and pressed a button. The screen hummed, and then a holographic map projected into the air. Lines and shapes moved across the display, showing star systems and complex routes Ethan had never seen. He took a step back, eyes wide. This is real. The holographic projection shifted and a voice spoke, broken but understandable. Intruder detected. Access limited. Ethan froze. The voice was alien, mechanical, and yet somehow intelligent. It came from the AI embedded in the workshop, a Viren sentinel that had lain dormant for centuries. The hologram showed the AI struggling to maintain its system, flickering in and out of clarity. Hello? Ethan said slowly, unsure what to do. The AI paused, then seemed to study him. Human detected. Curiosity. Acceptable. Ethan couldn't help but smile. Looks like you're not completely dead. That's good news for both of us, I think. He spent hours examining the workshop, cataloging everything he could. The machines were beyond anything humans had developed, even with decades of reverse-engineered alien technology. Energy cells hummed faintly. Alien drones lay dormant in storage bays, and one corner contained what appeared to be a small Viren ship. Its hull was covered in dust, but Ethan could see sleek lines and intricate designs, unlike any human ship. As night fell on the asteroid, Ethan set up a small camp inside the workshop. He didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt a strange sense of purpose. For the first time in years, he felt alive. The silence of the workshop no longer seemed empty. It felt expectant, like the building itself was waiting for him to awaken it. The next day, Ethan began working on the smaller machines. Using his human engineering skills, he repaired broken circuits and rerouted damaged power conduits. To his amazement, some of the alien tech responded immediately, humming softly as if recognizing his touch. The Viren AI, which now identified itself as Valar, observed silently, occasionally offering fragmented instructions in its broken language. By the third day, Ethan had activated a few drones. They moved awkwardly at first, but soon began performing simple tasks: cleaning, lifting heavy debris, and even repairing other damaged devices. Valar projected schematics and diagrams into the air, showing Ethan how the drones functioned. Though the AI's language was fractured, Ethan understood enough to combine his knowledge with what it taught him. Word of his discovery reached nearby colonies. Traders and adventurers whispered about the human who had bought the ancient Viren workshop. Some were curious, others wary. Humans were known for ingenuity, but dealing with lost alien technology was dangerous. Yet Ethan didn't care. He wanted to learn, explore, and understand. One afternoon, while examining the small Viren ship, Ethan noticed something unusual. A panel on the hull glowed faintly, almost like it was breathing. Hesitant but curious, he pressed a sequence of buttons. Lights flared across the ship, and the dormant systems hummed to life. The ship's console projected another holographic map, more detailed than the first, showing hyperspace routes, unknown star systems, and strange energy signatures scattered across the galaxy. This is incredible, Ethan whispered. I might have just found something no one has seen in centuries. As he explored the ship's systems, he realized the workshop was more than a repair facility. It was a hub of Viren knowledge and technology, abandoned in haste and left to drift silently in space. The implications were staggering. The galaxy itself had lost contact with this civilization, yet here it was, waiting for someone to rediscover it. That night, as Ethan lay on a makeshift bed inside the workshop, he thought about what he had found. He wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was a pioneer, an explorer of forgotten technology. The galaxy was vast, and this ruined workshop was a doorway into its secrets. He didn't know what he would find next, but one thing was certain: his life had changed forever. Outside, the asteroid hung in silent orbit around a distant star, the ruins glowing faintly in the darkness. Somewhere across the galaxy, alien civilizations would soon notice activity in a place they had long considered dead. And at the center of it all was a human mechanic, curious, fearless, and ready to uncover the mysteries that had slept for centuries. Ethan closed his eyes, a small smile on his face. Tomorrow he would continue exploring. Tomorrow, he would unlock more of the secrets hidden within the Viren workshop. And for the first time, he understood something important. Humans were not just survivors. When faced with the unknown, they were capable of shaking the very stars themselves. The next morning, Ethan woke to the faint hum of the workshop. The small drones he had repaired the day before moved quietly across the floor, carrying tools and tidying debris. Valar's holographic form flickered faintly in the corner, observing him. Its broken voice, though still mechanical, carried a tone of cautious curiosity. Human. Progress acceptable, it said. Systems. Partially. Restored, Ethan smiled, rubbing his eyes. Good. Then let's see what else we can wake up today. He focused on the small Viren ship. Its hull gleamed faintly under the dim lights of the workshop, and the control console still projected holographic schematics of distant star systems. Ethan had spent hours deciphering what little Valar could explain. He now understood that this ship wasn't just a transport. It was a prototype of a Viren exploration vessel, capable of advanced propulsion far beyond anything humans had ever built. Curiosity pushing him forward, Ethan began repairing the ship's energy core. The task was delicate. Even a minor mistake could trigger a catastrophic malfunction. He carefully replaced damaged conduits with human-made components, improvising as he went. His hands moved quickly, guided by years of experience, and by mid-afternoon the ship's systems hummed steadily, responding to his touch. Nice. Ethan muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Not bad for a human. Valar's hologram brightened slightly as if acknowledging the compliment. Human adaptability. Impressive, it said. Viren, knowledge. Insufficient. Interface requires guidance. Ethan frowned. So you need me to teach you some things too? Affirmative, Valar replied. Human understanding. Necessary for survival. It was then that Ethan noticed a hidden compartment near the ship's console. Inside were dozens of crystalline data cores, each glowing faintly. Carefully, he extracted one and placed it on the workbench. The crystal projected a holographic star map, far larger and more detailed than any map Valar had previously shown. Dozens of unknown star systems and planets appeared, some marked with symbols that seemed to indicate resources, research stations, and unknown dangers. This is enormous, Ethan whispered. Valar, these systems. The galaxy is bigger than we thought. The AI's voice softened, a rare sign of recognition. Viren, civilizations, spread across these coordinates. Many lost, unknown threats remain. Ethan leaned back. The weight of what he had discovered pressed against him. Not only had he found alien technology, but he had stumbled upon a map of a lost empire, its secrets dormant for centuries. If this information fell into the wrong hands, it could shift power across the galaxy. But Ethan wasn't thinking about danger yet. His mind raced with possibilities. He imagined repairing Viren drones using their propulsion systems, or even piloting the prototype ship himself. He could study alien engineering firsthand. For the first time in years, the universe felt like an adventure waiting to be explored. As he continued tinkering, the workshop seemed to respond. Lights flickered along the walls, ancient machinery hummed faintly, and a low vibration ran through the floor. Ethan paused, listening. The energy wasn't threatening, it was alive. Like the workshop itself was awakening after centuries of slumber. Hours later, Ethan sat cross-legged in front of the ship's console, examining the crystalline data cores one by one. Valar projected translations as best it could, revealing fragmented histories, engineering notes, and exploration logs of the Virens. The civilization had been highly advanced, mastering energy manipulation, faster than light travel, and autonomous drones. But there were hints of a catastrophic event, something that forced the Virens to abandon their colonies. Ethan's curiosity deepened. What happened to them, Valar? Where did they go? The AI hesitated, flickering like a weak flame. Viren, exodus, unknown. Predation, galaxy. Dangerous, humans. Potential, compatible, humans. Compatible? Ethan repeated, puzzled. Yes. Potential. Adapt, learn, survive, unknown predators. Beyond Viren. Capability. Ethan's heart raced. He had only intended to repair machines, not uncover secrets that hinted at galactic predators. Yet the idea of humans being capable of facing unknown threats filled him with a mix of pride and determination. The next day, Ethan tested one of the restored drones. He sent it across the workshop to lift a heavy piece of debris. The drone hesitated, then moved smoothly, almost gracefully. Encouraged, he activated several more, each responding flawlessly to his commands. Vaylor observed, projecting holographic diagrams to help him optimize their performance. "You learn quickly," Vaylor said. "Human, resourceful." "Adaptive," Ethan grinned. "Resourceful? That's what humans do best. We don't always have the tools, but we find a way." Hours passed as he explored deeper into the workshop. Behind a collapsed wall, Ethan discovered another hidden chamber. Inside, rows of alien tools and partially assembled devices lay untouched. Strange glyphs glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing rhythmically. Ethan touched one, and the glyphs responded, lighting up the entire room. "Whoa, it's like it's alive," he muttered. Vaylor's hologram appeared beside him. "Viren, technology, responsive. Human touch, compatible, unusual." As Ethan examined the devices, he found something even more remarkable. A set of blueprints for a larger Viren starship, one that dwarfed anything humans had built. The schematics included weapons, shields, and propulsion systems, all using energy manipulation that Ethan could barely comprehend. This is insane," he whispered. "If I could build even part of this, humanity could change everything." But as night fell, Ethan realized he wasn't alone. Faint signals from the crystalline cores hinted that his activation of the workshop had sent a signal across the galaxy. Somewhere, distant civilizations were detecting the revival of Viren technology. Some would be curious, others wary. Some could be dangerous. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. He had started this adventure seeking excitement and knowledge, but now the stakes were higher. He wasn't just a mechanic in a dusty workshop anymore. He had awakened secrets that could shake the galaxy. Despite the weight of responsibility, Ethan couldn't stop smiling. For the first time, he felt truly alive. Each discovery brought new puzzles, new possibilities, and new challenges. And though danger lurked somewhere beyond the stars, he knew one thing: humans were not easily underestimated. By the end of the week, Ethan had restored most of the smaller machines and fully activated the workshop's AI systems. Vaylor, though still incomplete, now communicated more clearly, offering insights into Viren technology and even proposing new configurations for drones and devices. Ethan spent hours tinkering with a small Viren energy generator. Using his own modifications, he managed to boost its efficiency beyond anything the Virens had recorded. The generator hummed steadily, casting a soft light across the workshop. "This is incredible," Ethan said aloud. "I never imagined I'd be here working with alien tech like this." Vaylor responded in a tone that almost sounded approving. "Human creativity, effective, potential, extraordinary." Ethan looked around at the workshop, at the glowing machines, the humming drones, and the sleeping starship. He realized that he had only scratched the surface. The Viren civilization, long thought lost, had left behind secrets that humans were only beginning to understand. And as he prepared to rest for the night, Ethan knew that his life had changed forever. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries and dangers, but he was ready to explore, ready to learn, and ready to show that a human mechanic could uncover secrets that even the stars had forgotten. Somewhere out there, other civilizations would soon notice the stirrings in the asteroid colony, and when they did, they would learn a truth that had been underestimated for centuries. Humans, curious and persistent, could achieve the impossible. Ethan closed his eyes, the soft hum of the workshop filling the silence. Tomorrow he would dive deeper, awaken more of the Viren technology, and perhaps unlock secrets that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. But for now he rested, knowing that the adventure had only just begun.